Okay, as you can see, this is my shower room. If this was broken the other day, I don't know how it happened, but if you look inside, it's hollow. It's very hollow. Anyway, let me stand up. I'm on my toilet here. These walls are so thin. You can hear who's talking in the next flat. Show you how hollow. Let me put the light on here. This is just for the... Okay, I don't have a torch. Is there a light here? For the anti-terror team. Last year, there's an officer who attended. So the next flat is flat 4 Oak House, Cotton's Approach, from foot. So last year, there's an officer who attended my flat, flat 3. Apparently, they had been called by people in flat 4 Oak House to come and make me come back in my flat and lock me up. So the officer who attended, the young Asian male officer, he often calls in to flat 4. They have discussed him moving in so that he joins what Zubir does to me, whether it's sexually or physically through the wall. I don't know how they do it. This officer once suggested, they have their audio things that they do there. He once suggested, if he marries me, I could be a prostitute. So I'm not sure what his heritage is or anything, but Zubir says he's not a Muslim, he's a radicalist. So Zubir is grooming people in the community. So this officer calls in. At first, he used to call in and say, Zubir, I'm coming to arrest you. There's no choice. For about a month, he's been saying this. Every time he called, that's the first opening line. Zubir, there's no choice. I have to arrest you. I'm going to have to send them in to come and arrest you. But it's just a daily thing that he does. He's a young Asian male. I am about 163, so he might be like 1 meter 67 or 1 meter 70. So he often calls in, and then Zubir also has this thing when he sexually violates me. If I don't move and I just clench my pelvic muscles to block the sensations, because I'm so disgusted by the way I'm being treated here. So when they're demonstrating that and I don't move, that officer says good. I'm not sure what that means. He's been doing it so often. Now, if I grit my teeth or express that I'm angry, they plan on how to get me even more aggressive to arrest me. So this video I'm making is an urgent call for you to address flat 4 Oak House. Yesterday, I found out that that flat was only given access to Hannah, and then Zubir followed her along. Apparently, they were not married anyway. She was just offering her services of prostitution, such that the owner of the flat cannot even retrieve the flat. So he has eventually taken control of the flat. He brought in more people to live there, and then these people eventually ran away. So lately, Zubir has been doing this thing of threatening to rape me, even physically picking me up, throwing me over his shoulder to rape me. Before that, he was threatening to even break into my apartment, my flat here. One day, I hadn't locked my door, and I was doing my things way into 1 a.m., 2 a.m. I've got so much work to try and retrieve my property. So much time that I'm trying to raise some money. I do some app work at the moment. But he laughs at how he hacks me and diverts my funds. I've been reporting him as a terrorist because when I read the level of criminal activities that are listed on there, every bullet point ticked for Zubir. And also considering that he laughed at how he blew up. He had a hand in the blow up of the Indian Airways because apparently there were doctors who either stood up to him or had cooperated with him. Do you know, he doesn't need a reason for whatever he does as long as he's being destructive. So these people were from India. When he said it, I think maybe he expected his flatmates who were Indian at the time to be laughing along with him. They've made a first move not long after that, when he said he was tired of the game. And the elderly man, who's Indian heritage, suggested, okay, you're tired. Go over there right now, knock her door and propose marriage. And I had to stop him in his tracks. I said, no. That's not how you're going to deal with your criminal activities. You're not going to cover this up by suggesting he comes and knocks my door. Because as far as he comes to my door, I will handle him. There is no way, because I've been reporting a lot of things, a lot of harm he's been doing, defamation, fraud, attacks, intimidation. If he comes to my door, no, there is no way I will take that lightly. You cannot cover up criminal activity by marrying me to Zubir. Never mind the sexual health diseases, but there's no way. This guy had already been discussing how he's somehow getting the police to follow me around, misrepresenting me. He went and lied to the imam that I was his wife. After the imam had suggested that, no, you should live with someone else, you should be married. Zubir turned up in his headgear, charading as a Muslim, and went to lie to the imam. Didn't even get there for the prayers. He went to just lie. And I left quickly. This guy apparently could have been trying to walk back with me for his charade. So Zubir is very cunning. The other night when I was reporting how he had decided that he's going to be voyeurizing me all night, that's terrible sexual assault while filming or something, or exposing it to the world. So I think officers could find out how he is actually doing all that. And apparently upscaling it is taking it to another level, which is currently what he's doing. Apparently he films me in this flat. This is my own property, I live alone. And if I have potential partners I'm talking to, apparently he has a way of factoring other individuals within the flat to show those people as if I'm with other people, or as if I am the prostitute, of which he's taking notes from Hannah's book and trying to turn me into the person who should be arrested for something. Whether it's his fault or Hannah's fault, they will be trying to twist the information to put the blame on me so that the police come after me. So whenever I have reported things, it's very confusing as to why Romford police have not responded to the reports I've submitted against Zubir. Until I've now found out, okay, fine, there's now, I found out about the Terrorist Act of 2000 and then looked up on Metropolitan website where I found out that when you're reporting terrorism, this is the criteria of people who fit this. And Zubir and Hannah fit the bill. Extreme burglary for years. Now to the extent that they're taking my bank statements, they had taken a tenancy agreement, they had taken a land registry report last year. And last year when they called the police to attend to me to lock me back in the flat, it was because I had attended another flat upstairs where I was trying to find out if I could confirm with someone I used to talk to when we meet outside, so that she just identifies me and I show her that I own my flat. It was the first time I had a conversation with Hannah and she lied to my face that she owned the flat with her husband, meaning Zubir. was about 2021, 2020 thereabouts. And when I started asking her about interest rates, she had no idea. She buckled and quickly started saying, my husband deals with all that. My husband deals with all that. In 2025, July, when I came back to my property, Zubir often stood outside my patio proposing marriage, pretending sometimes that he's a Charakupa now. He incurs all this multiple personality disorder to try and claim things over me. Sometimes he'd be claiming, last year he'd be claiming sometimes that I'm his childminder. Sometimes he'd be getting that other family to be reading out my secret memoirs and personalizing them to themselves, suggesting that I'm the childminder so that they own this property, so that they can take over my property. It was so intimidating. Some nights I would find them on my patio. If I had just walked out to somehow get some relief from all the intimidation, the partner I was living with eventually had left and I was alone. So, since those marriage proposals, which I declined each time until one day I also suggested, no, how about we start at compensation, maybe £10,000 before we even discuss anything? Zubir agreed that yes, of course, that would really reduce my sentencing, or I don't know what else he was thinking, that he would get some sort of leniency. And lately he started discussing how he might get house arrest for all this criminal activity over years. And in that getting a house arrest, he thought he could get away with getting me arrested so that he drives up to Romford police station and suddenly somehow becomes the person who rescues me. But then he would force me to marrying him and staying in flat 4 with him. I don't understand how his thought processes work. He's got 2 jobs that I know about, if they are still there. Works as a security guard, manning cameras in Sainsbury's, works at NHS Queen's. He got a car recently, a little black car. It's been in the visiting car park for a few days now, right in front of the block. He got it when the younger man who lives in that flat, who came last year for the show to watch how I was being brutalized from a distance. When he came, apparently was being given a choice to move into here or move into flat 4. I don't really know how that works. The man never spoke English the whole time I ever saw him walking up and down in the communal grounds. Until in 2025, perhaps in September, August, when he was lamenting about finding out what gonorrhea actually is and how it affects your body. Apparently he had been sleeping with Hannah. And he was regretting and saying, this time it was audibly in English, saying, now what do? I could have been living next door with that woman. I want to run away, but I can't even take her away because I have gonorrhea. I think he was ready to give them all up, or perhaps just run away. But Zubir decided to take control of the situation and shut him up by buying him a car, which he never drives. Their voices have of a similar tone. Sometimes you can tell them apart. So they could be related, or it could just be a similarity. He's a slimmer built, but he does look like Zubir's son, Adam. The haircut, that is. I haven't really paid too much attention to his face, but if it was in a lineup, I could pick them up. So the officer who attended here, he once called into Zubir. His calls stopped from being Zubir, we're coming to pick you up, and eventually turned into, I would suggest you become a prostitute. He possibly was suggesting that they're going to continue filming And then apparently Hannah and Zubia would be laughing that every night you should have someone in there randomly. Otherwise, we'll keep on sexually assaulting you. There was a woman one night who was in that flat who was offering herself as a sexual partner, saying, please, don't assault her. I'm here. They have a swinging sex culture thing going on in there. There were children who were living in there before. Apparently, they've been taken away. The mother probably went back to her husband with the children. I don't really know. I don't check in on them like that. The only time I realized they ran is when they were filling up a van the very next morning after I told the other Indian man, an elderly Indian man, that no, please don't advise him any longer to be trying to propose marriage with me. It's impossible. So all this fraudulent misrepresentation, hacking, stealing from me. My accounts have almost closed with reputable banks. I don't know what they call the banks and say. Yesterday I was trying to sort out my phone accounts. I don't know what they've been saying to 3 Network. I know Zubia's name now because of a letter from 3, which he put in my post box last year. I was so terrified. I went to where I was living. I came back right away. As soon as I found that letter, I was back on the bus and back here with that letter. I had been coming in and out checking on the property because of the rains that were pouring through my property. We've been going back and forth with my building management about how this flat gets fixed. Now, if this guy can laugh about how he can reach things from a distance, he can cause me terrible body harm. I think in police language it's called GBH. I may not bleed outwardly, but internally I can bleed as if I'm miscarrying a child, especially when I've had a consistent partner. Sometimes it's not even consistent because he's trying to turn it into a one-night stand. He may intimidate the man for him not to come back, or hack their phones, or delete the numbers off my phone. Such terrible levels of hacking. I don't know, I don't actually have to always write things down, but yes, it is helpful. But so far, the things I've mentioned are in a police report from the 18th of August. There were so many more things that he confessed on the 31st of July when he said, I'm not a radicalist. I'm not a Muslim, I'm a radicalist. That was while hacking me. I had paid my internet bundle for £35 and unlimited texts, calls, data included. And he was hacking me while I was trying to retrieve and recover my property issues here. And he was laughing, you can't fight a hacker. As he was expressing all this, when he started talking about radicalism, I started penning down as much as I could. And I went to submit it to Romford Police Station. I waved the envelope to the cameras on the magistrate court side and to the Romford police cameras. 31st of July. It was after 10 p.m., around there. I had been writing since earlier in that evening. 8 pages. And I was not even feeling well. I had a terrible chest infection. I walked all the way there huffing and puffing. I got there huffing and puffing. I could hardly talk. The first officer encouraged me to leave a statement. I couldn't even manage that. But then when the other officer came, he assigned me to that one because he had to attend to the other gentlemen who were in the police station, which eventually turned into an arrest. There was actually an arrest on that day. So I submitted these 8 pages to an officer there. I remember her name. I've been emailing to ask if I could get a reference for the 31st. But I think since then, some of the emails I've submitted have covered up quite a lot of those reports, those confessions, those admissions. And now I'm sharing them with the anti-terrorist team. If I have submitted the officer's email or badge number, that's where to get the rest of the information from. That first officer, I'm really not sure why they never recorded it. That's not what I'm investigating anyway. I'm not an investigator. That's not what I'm reporting. It's just that there's an officer who actually calls in. He could possibly be groomed for this. So I don't like how I'm being treated here. I stand up to Zubair. Last night I saw him walking around with Adam. They walked round the walkway. And I addressed him. I told him, "Stop, you coward." And he wouldn't address me back. He almost was hiding behind his son. And then when they walked in, Adam made sure he clocked the door. And then he whispered, "Dad, she's really not afraid of you anymore." This is a young boy who seems quite intelligent. He could be talent spotted. But here he is, being groomed for radicalism. They pride themselves in sexually assaulting me from a distance. Lately, I had some people I was talking to. We discussed commitment. I don't know what Zubair does for these people to disappear. But once we're discussing things at that level, oh yes, there was defamation of one of the guys I was seeing. He's actually Muslim. And because we had quite a night and I couldn't find some things that had fallen behind the bed, they started talking about, oh, he's done something fraudulent, he's nicked this, he's nicked that, and so on and so on. So that perhaps could have got to him, and he never returned. I'm not reporting this for that guy to return. I'm only saying the extent to which they go. Before that, I did meet someone else who was quite serious. We were going to go to church together to actually commit and settle down. They arranged for him to have somebody else while they were hacking my phone. By the time I came back to my flat, they were telling me that they've already done something. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. Later that afternoon, they blasted some information through my mind. Apparently they can do this sort of thing. So if we can simulate all this gruesome stuff through my body and my mind, this terror that he is actually inflicting on my life as an individual, while confessing that he had a hand in blowing up a whole Indian Airways. A man who was throwing tantrums about trying to force me to leave my flat so that he can break in and take things from my flat, so that his criminal partner does witchcraft on them. That's not the only reason to break in for him. The other time he mentioned he wanted to come in and fix my broken pegs. Another time, he wanted to break in to return those items on which they had done witchcraft. Apparently, it's to stop me from having a child. Another time, they interfered with my washing machine delivery. I was going to just pray over my items and put them in the wash. Twice, they interfered with the delivery. Whether they hacked those businesses or what, I don't know. All I know is my delivery was due to come, I think on the 31st of September. Might have been on Sunday. And I actually texted, communicated. I'm actually just going to look for the pegs. This is one of the pegs. He wanted to fix this peg. So through that wall you can hear, through this wall you can hear. Zubair once knocked over this board. I was cooking. I have glass pots. I had two bigger than this. He created some stupid reason for being upset that one of his sexual partners had done something. So he knocked over this board. He had done it before. Knocked over the board, broken up the first glass pot. There was no reason that day. The second glass pot broke. I swept it into this corner. And their witnesses were turned up on the 8th of August. That's a different matter altogether. They're healthcare professionals who were saying, we don't want evidence, we don't want evidence, and looked away. So I'm just using that as an example. Many people are aware of what Zubair is doing. Many people are aware of what Zubair is doing. Whether it's because they can't explain it, it's not really a thing for me. All I know is that this guy professes to be a radicalist. And when I read the terror criteria, he fits. And you could add some bullet points. His whole war against me is to stop me from getting into any stable relationship, to make me homeless. Almost as if he can't have me, then no one will. It's ridiculous. I can never give myself into a criminal who mistreats even his criminal partners. He shames them so ruthlessly. One of them, Hannah, was applying to be married to him. Wore a dress until she gave up at his abuse. As soon as his son got home, he shamed her terribly. And she chopped her hair the way a broken-hearted person would, and now wears all black all the time again. So lately we found out that they were never married. It's all been some sort of facade. Because even then, when Hannah was led into that flat, apparently that was still a scheme against me getting into relationships. So Zubair has now overtaken Hannah's authority in that flat. Brought in people who then eventually said they were also doing something to him. I do not see them anymore taking their children to school via this walkway. They've possibly moved out or used the front door. But those children do not raise their voices as much now. Unless they're calling into Zubair, or unless he has already recorded their voices and is still using them to give the illusion that there are more people in there. The other night that the police officers attended, I'm not sure how Hannah got out of it, but it's possible that she lied about my husband and I. They came and knocked all our doors. So, these people are spreading gonorrhea without disclosing. And Zubair keeps trying to get me arrested. If I should respond as violently as they were last year, when they used to crash into my walls, even just at me just thinking about going to shower. How would they have known what I'm thinking? Let alone moving into the shower. The other night, I could not shower. It just brought back all those memories. He was whispering in there, that would be a man. Whispering through the shower wall. Then the other day, he waited until I had actually showered when I was drying myself. I am so disgusted. I feel like I'm being raped every night. And he actually said it. I'll be voyeurizing her all night. Last week, I think on a Thursday, he had mentioned how he was going to kill me to the flatmates. I had not heard that part. But once I got up to go out, they started laughing. And then their disclosures were that he's been planning to kill you tonight. Didn't realize you're going out. I ignored it. When I came back, he was echoing similar sentiments again. I ignored it. I went to sleep. Then when I was waking up, it felt like I was lying on a faulty electric blanket or an electric car seat with faulty heating going all the way from 0 to 100. While one of his sex partners seemed to be reading some sort of caption describing what was happening. Now, the email states all his confessions, admissions, people he's been working with, people he exposes, people he's using, people who are cooperating with him. So there's a lot of deception that they spew too. But I think that's for investigators to look into. I am not a terrorist network all by myself. The other night when I was reporting how he threatened to rape me, they started, I guess as a security guard, he expected police to attend. But he started threatening the police. He said, once they turn up, you rile them up, and then I'll come and pick you up later. But for now, I'll be dealing with this woman. So, Zubir has been expecting to be arrested since July 2025. He said he had a year to own up to his criminal activities, to what he was doing to me. But every day since then, he'll be calling people to try and find a way of pretending and convincing people that he's innocent. The other day, someone chased him back into the flat, tired of his pretension. That was quite a result. Instead of handing in my items as lost and found in his pretense, he sometimes hides out in his flat and does not go out. And then should I go out, they easily ring the police somehow, as if I've escaped from them or something, as if I belong to them, simply because they were assigned as criminals against me. Okay, so his uniform's going to work in that. May look like a good disguise. I've been to Sainsbury's quite a few times lately, where his colleagues were waiting for him to arrive so that they get him arrested. So I don't know if he still works at Sainsbury's, because they've seen through him now. I don't follow them around. I'm not a criminal who's trying to cover up what they're doing to me as a Jew